We're going to cover barbecue ribs in this video. We're going to talk about secrets and we're going to talk about tips. These ribs are going to be made on a pellet fired smoker like a Traeger, Louisiana grill, whatever. These techniques will help you cook great ribs, and you can do great ribs in as little as 3 hours. There are 3 steps to barbecue or smoked ribs: smoke, foil, finish. These steps cook the ribs low and slow. The low temperature cooking slowly cooks the meat, turning grizzly tough meat into wonderful barbecue goodness. Before we smoke the ribs, we need to apply the rub. This is an easy step and it takes only minutes. First, brush a little mustard on the ribs. This is just a fixative. It's going to keep the rub in place on the meat. Then you shake the rub onto the ribs. One trick is to apply the rub to the back of the ribs first. Then flip the ribs over and apply the rub to the top. Chipotle powder is a great way to add some heat to the ribs. First, the smoke step. This gives the ribs barbecue flavor. Smoke at a lower temperature. The smoke setting on my Traeger gives me 120 degrees in the winter and 180 degrees in the summer. Smoke the ribs between 1 and 3 hours. Do not let the ribs dry out. This is a huge pitfall. The mustard needs to set during this step. If you continue to smoke after the mustard sets, then keep the ribs moist. Spray, mop, or baste the ribs with apple juice at regular intervals. Again, do not let the ribs dry out. Foil. The foil step cooks the meat. Done properly, the ribs will be tender and almost ready to eat at the end of this step. Use the time of this step to dial in how tender you want the ribs. Do you want the ribs to stay on the bone, or do you want the ribs to completely fall off when you try and pick them up, or do you want something in between? 2 hours at 225 degrees Fahrenheit, wrapped in foil, covered in honey and brown sugar with apple juice. That is the standard. You want to make sure the foil is airtight. You have to keep the steam in the foil packet. So the steps: apply honey and brown sugar to the top of the ribs. Then pour apple juice onto the foil, but not directly over the ribs. Wrap the ribs up in foil. I like to use heavy-duty aluminum foil, and I like to use 2 wraps. You can cook as little as 1 hour, but the ribs will really not be that tender. 2 hours will result in really nice ribs. More than 2 hours is fine, but the ribs may get so tender that they will fall off the bone when you try and pick them up off the grill. That might be too much of a good thing. The finish step. After you remove the ribs from the foil, they go back on the grill at a low temperature. For a dry rub, which is no barbecue sauce, this step will remove some of the moisture left over from the foil step. If you want barbecue sauce, apply it now and cook until the sauce is caramelized. Be very careful with this step. Check the ribs often. It is really easy to overdo it and dry out the ribs. So a couple closing thoughts. Experiment. Find out what you like. Adjust the ingredients, the times, the temperatures. Adjust whatever you think you need to do to get better ribs. Get the ribs to taste the way you want them. That's going to wrap this video up. Thanks for watching.